Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Forward Point, how you doing? This is true. No truer words were spoken. I'm not Manny today, so if your expectations are such where you're hoping for Manny, I'm sorry that the morning is starting off for you as a disappointment. I will do what I can to fumble along. Kind of going to be a hot one today, huh, folks? I tell you, we knew it was going to be a hot one, so we had to turn the air conditioning on when we left last Sunday just to make sure it would be the temperature it is today. So that was my Manny. Thank you. Yes, thank you. That was my Manny joke for the morning. That's all you get. That's all you get. My name is Jimmy, one of the pastors here at Forward Point, and we just want to say thank you so much for joining us, ice packs and all, whatever you need. We got water and lemonade back there. We want to make sure everyone stays hydrated. While we love the Spirit moving and falling on people, we don't want anybody passing out from heat exhaustion, okay? So make sure you stay hydrated. This morning we're going to get things kick-started off America style because 4th of July weekend is here and upon us. Anybody have any big 4th of July plans? Going to be shooting off some fireworks? Going to be barbecuing? Anybody? Okay. So Forward Point is a bunch of hermits. Just like to be bundled up in the air conditioning. Well, I need a volunteer. Do I have any volunteers that want to come up and join me up here this morning? Yes, come on up. I see that hand. I see that hand. So this is what we got going on this morning. We're doing some crowd charades. Some crowd charades, all right? So what you have to do is there's going to be something on the screen that you can't look at. Nope, you got to look the other way, all right? Everyone in the audience is going to see it except for you. And because, and don't look at the TV in the back that's right in front of us. The cheat sheet is on there. Let's see. Hey, there is a remote in the bag right there in front of you, Chris, where my bag is. The vanilla-looking bag. The vanilla-looking bag. Well, she's got to see the audience. Because the audience, your part in this is you have to act out what's on the screen to see if you can get her to guess what's up on the screen. All right? You're going to act it out as soon as we can turn off the TV. So I know it's not in your nature to cheat, but just hit the power button until we're done. There we go. All right. Now that it's off. All right. So the first one, looking at the screen, audience, I need your participation because she's going to look really silly up here if you guys aren't helping her out. All right. So we lost. Back it up. We can't talk, right? We can't say it. No, charades. Charades is purely acting. What happened? The heat is overloading the systems, I think. The systems. What happened? Maybe because we shut it off. Is ProPresenter still up? It's no longer a source. Yeah, so there we go. Oh, there we go. All right, ready? Just don't pay attention to the TV. All right, audience, you have to look at everybody in the audience. All right, you go ahead and see. You saw the first one. So what are they doing? Holding a plate. Nope. I know they all have the same idea. It's like if more than one of you do the same thing, then maybe she'll get it. Try changing. Remember, it's America. America's the theme. Okay, marching soldiers? No. Oh, no talking. No talking in charades. Security, the young woman in the dress there, please. So that's part of it. That's definitely what they're doing. Who carries a lantern? No, you can move in charades. Speaking of not moving, huh? Oh, she doesn't move. I see what you're saying. Think. Oh. Yep. Have you ever been in New York City? Have you ever had somebody staring at you holding something like this off in the water? She's a little green. One of the. Yeah, it is. All right. All right. Now the first one's always the hardest one. The first one. Now the rest of them are going to be easy. All right. All right. Number 2. All right. And go. Ready? Oh. Yeah. Well, now you're setting the bar really high. You got that one in like 10 seconds. All right. Couple more here. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Matt. Oh. Yeah, there it is. Although, if you're looking at Steve, it might have been the bald chicken. I don't know. This is not very eagle-like there, Steve. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, it's a little eaglet? Is that what it is? A little baby eagle? Okay. All right, next one. Oh. This is tough. Yes, along that lines. Oh, see? Yeah, pay attention to Brian. He's the only one. He's really into this. What's another thing that gets said a lot? What's he drawn? Yes. Star. First word, star. Uh-huh. It's a very famous song we sing. Nope, starts with star. It's so funny to watch people do the same thing over and over again, thinking that you're going to get it the second time since you didn't get. Oh, here, Heather's got something on her mind that she definitely wants to act out. Yes. What happened? There you go. Yeah. What's the song that they sing? The most popular rendition done by Fergie. Star Spangled. There it is. There it is. All right, Heather, don't go anymore. There's one more. One more. Last one. Last one. Get the eaglet. Think America. Not a song. This one's not a song. This one's a very famous location in America. 80% of Christian worship songs talk about moving one of these. What? What did he say? Think really large mountains etched in stone. Where is this? Dakota, right? South Dakota? North or south? South Dakota. That probably helps you, South Dakota, right? Oh. Yes. most commonly known as Mount Rushmore. Yes. All right, give it up for you yourselves. That was a great job. Yes. I don't know where we would be without. I think Heather has this very special love for charades because she came running down as soon as she saw you guys struggling. So Heather to the rescue. Well, welcome everyone to Forward Point. We're so glad you're here. If you're with us for the first time or maybe just recently have been joining us at Forward Point, obviously we love to have fun. We love to laugh and play together. We also want to be able to get to know you better. So if you could pull out your cell phones and if you want to text the word welcome to the number you see on the screen there, 315-883-2213. We would love the opportunity just to send you a gift and just to say thanks for joining us and being a part of Forward Point here. We would really appreciate the opportunity to connect with you. As we already said, this is a special weekend with 4th of July. So we have a special 4th of July video we'd like to share with you to honor this great holiday here in America. All right, so take a look at the screens. Or just the one screen, sorry. Hey, Gideon, if you turn the lights off, buddy.
You smell that? Chlorine? No, that is freedom, my friend. Smells like there's too much chlorine in there to me. No, my friend, that is the sweet smell of freedom.
Daddy, my eyes are burning again.
I told you not to open them under the water, sweetheart.
But I'm wearing my goggles.
Off you go. What were we talking about? Chlorine? No, freedom. Yes, the sweet smell of freedom. You know, there's not a day that goes by that I don't smell it somewhere. The freedom that I have of choosing ribeye over sirloin. Freedom that I have to watch my son play his baseball games, knowing that he has the freedom of making anything out of himself that he wants. With lots and lots of practice. The freedom that I have of choosing charcoal over gas. I smell freedom. I smell an explosion. What was that? Smell dinner. God bless America. He already has. Indeed he has. A lot. A lot. You know what, it's worse. America's better off than the vast majority of countries in the world. Yeah, I mean, think about it. God has blessed America with countless numbers of men and women who were willing to give their lives so that we can live in a country that is run by citizens rather than a dictator, right? And not only that, but think about this. I have the God-given freedom to speak my mind and not have to worry about being imprisoned. Think about this. We live in a country that, like, no matter your age, your race, your gender, your religious preference, we were all created equal. Created, right, means there has to be a creator, and that creator is God. And not only that, I have the freedom on any given Sunday, for that matter, any day of the week, to worship God wherever I want, however I want. Why do I have that freedom? Because of God. You know what? I stopped listening about a quarter of the way through, but you had me at God Bless America. I didn't say that, you did. I did say that, you're right. Oh, I also said this. WWALD? What would Abe Lincoln do? Think about that, my friend. What would Abe Lincoln do? Probably use less lighter fluid.
Well, happy 4th of July. I hope that you're able to take some time with family and friends, enjoy the holiday, and then take enjoyment in the special freedom that we have here in America to worship and to live however we want to. Coming up this month, we have our monthly family movie night. So if you've been to any of them, you know they're lots of fun. We open it up to the community to have a free family movie night that we host here at the theater. And this month, we're going to be doing Despicable Me 3. So as you'll hear today, we're starting a series called At the Movies, where we're kind of using movies as the backdrop for our conversations. And the last one of the month will be Despicable Me 3, where the family service is going to be talking about Despicable Me 3, and this is the movie we're going to be showing. So for the third Monday of the month on the 16th, I would encourage you. We have invite cards you can pick up in the back there that have all the information written down. You can pick up a handful of those and share them with friends, family members, strangers, whoever you may come across that would enjoy a free night here watching that movie, okay? And again, lastly, if you didn't get a chance to catch that number to text, I'm going to put it up on the screen there one more time. Just text the word welcome to 315-883-2213 for us to be able to connect with you. And then this morning, if you came looking to be able to give to what's going on here at Ford Point, there's a couple different ways that you can do that in person. At the back there by the entryway, we have our Joy Box. You can fill out an envelope and put it right in there. We can send you out a receipt. Or if you prefer online, you can go to the website, fordpoint.org, and set up an account there to be able to give right online. And then last, again, right from your phone, if you want to text, you can text any amount to the short code 84321, okay? So if you would, go ahead and stand to your feet. We're going to continue on in our gathering this morning through music. But before we do that, we want to do some slow motion high fives. So find a couple people, give them some slow motion high fives.
Are we on? I'm not hearing anything coming out. We'll get it going here in a second with my guitar. Boom. That battery issue. I think we're all right. Singing tune. Oh, I'm hearing it. It's coming on. Maybe a little more. Yep. Brian's praising the Lord over there, giving the Lord the glory. Giving the Lord the glory. Check 1, 2. Let's get it right now before we begin. No. I'm on. Is this all plugged in? It's all good. Monitors. Is there some setting off? Something is unmuted? We're going to sing a cappella. We're going to go reform today. You're all right? You can do it? Check 1, 2. All right. Can everyone hear me out there all right? No? Out here? Oh, I'm hearing a little feedback. Let's get it right now. We're all family here in the place. Check 1, 2. Check. What's up? My guitar is dead for a reason. You sure? Are you on for us? Do I need a new battery in my place here? Sure? You sure it's really dead here? Hold on a second here. Hold on, Tim. You can go to commercial break, everyone. Okay, there we go. Let's see here. Is there something else up? Okay. Oh, yeah, it's a little loose right there. Let's see if we can tighten it up. Okay, give me a second here. Let's see here. 3. Okay, hold on. Yep, I'm going to plug in. Turn it down. It's going to pop everyone's ears. Everyone cover your ears. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think I hear something here. Hold on. Oh, my goodness sakes. All right, hold on. Force is going to do something here. It's a miracle. There we go. All right. Oh, my goodness sakes. We got it. We have freedom, everyone. All right, here we go.
are good. You are good to me. Yes, he is. You are good to me. Sing with me. Nothing and no one. Nothing and no one comes. Yes. Anywhere close to you. With the emotions do only reflect the truth. And in my darkest night, you shine as bright as day. Your love amazes me. And I sing because you are good, and I dance because you are good, and I shout because you are good. You are good to me. To me, I sing because you are good, and I dance because you are good, and I shout because you are good. You are good. You are good to me. Sing with me, with the cry. My heart will proclaim, you are good. Let me hear you are good. You are good, yeah. In the sun rain, my heart celebrates. You are good. You are good. Do it again with a cry. With a cry of praise, my heart will proclaim. You are good. You are good. And in the sun rain, my life celebrates. You are good. You are good. And I sing because you are good, and I dance because you are good, and I shout because you are good. You are good to me, to me. And I sing because you are good, and I dance because you are good, and I shout because you are good. You are good. You are good to me. You are good to me. He is so good to me. You are good to me. He is so good to me. Yes. Lord, we thank you, Lord. You are good to us, God. Thank you, God. Yes, Jesus. Amen. Thank you, God. Yes. You've done this song before, maybe in a little while. Sing with me. There's a space in every beating heart. There's a longing which is breathless. There's an answer to every question mark. There's a name. Sing with me. There's a hope. There's a hope. Flowing through these days. There's a voice that echoes through the pain. There's an ember ready for the flame. There's a name. Sing with me. We will fix. We will fix our eyes on the one that overcame. We will stand. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chains. Sing that again. We will fix. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. All right, sing with me. We will stand. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chains. Let me hear your love. 'Cause love has a name. Love has a name. breaks the chains. Sing with me, love has a name, and love has a name. Love has a name, Jesus. Sing it again, love has a name, and love has a name. Love has a name, it's Jesus. Sing it again, love has a name. Whoa, love has a name. Love has a name, it's Jesus. And love has a name. Love has a name, it's Jesus. The name is lifted up forever. The name that shakes the earth, shakes the heavens. The hope for every heart is the Savior of the world. It's Jesus. Jesus. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. Thank you, Lord. We will stand. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chain. We will fix. Sing it. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. Sing with me. We will stand. We will stand in awe of the one as he breaks the chains. Sing with me. Love has a name, and love has a name. Love has a name. It's Jesus. My victory has a name. Victory has a name. It's Jesus. My joy has a name. Joy has a name. It's Jesus. My hope has a name. Hope has a name. It's Jesus. Sing love. Oh, love has a name. Love has a name. It's Jesus. Thank you, Lord. And love has a name. Love has a name. It's Jesus. Let's just worship in church. Love has a name. Love has a name. Love has a name. It's Jesus. One more time. 'Cause love has a name. Love has a name. It's Jesus. Worship you, God. Thank you, Lord God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I was in prayer this week. I was just going through the fruit of the Spirit. Some of you may know that list. It talks about love and joy and peace, and patience and goodness and faithfulness. Some versions say long suffering. Others will say self-control. I was going through this list. Yeah, Forrest, you can keep playing that. It's wonderful. And I was going through this list. It's like, again, a lot of us, we want to have love in our lives. We want to have joy. We want to have peace. But what God kept to remind me is love really love until we're loving someone we don't love? Is joy really joy when it's only built on us getting a promotion, us getting our kids to behave, us having the perfect marriage? Peace. Is it only peace when everything is quiet and everything's going well? Or is it peace when we have chaos in our lives?
wasn't peace that everything's going to go right. It's not a peace that the world will ever be able to give. It's a peace that will pass even in all understanding when we don't understand. Because there's a name that's above all other names. And that name is Jesus. He is the one that can authorize love, authorize joy, authorize peace, faithfulness, goodness, and on and on. Without Christ, he says, apart from me, you can do nothing. Our hope has to be in him, church. All our hope has to be in him.
Been held by the Savior. I felt fire from above, and I've been down to the river. I ain't the same prodigal return. All my hope is in Jesus. Thank God that yesterday's gone. No, sins are forgiven, and I've been washed by the blood. I'm no stranger. I'm no stranger to prison. I've owned shackles and chains, but I've been freed and forgiven, and I'm not going back. I'll never be the same. That's why I sing, all I hope is in Jesus. Thank God that yesterday's gone. All my sins are forgiven, and I've been washed by the blood. Come on, and sing. All I hope is in Jesus. Thank God that yesterday's gone. No, sins are forgiven, and I've been washed by the blood. There's a kind of thing that just breaks a man, breaks him down to his knees. God, I've been broken more than a time or two. Yes, Lord, but he picked me up. He showed me what it means. Now come on and sing. All I hope is in Jesus. 'Cause thank God that yesterday's gone. No, sins are forgiven, and I've been washed by. Sing it with all your heart. One more time. All my hope, and all my hope is in Jesus. Yes, it is God that yesterday's gone. All sins are forgiven, and I've been washed by the blood. Sing that last line. I've been washed, and I've been washed by the blood. One more time. And I've been washed by the blood. Give him praise this morning, church. Worship him. He's all our hope.
All right. Well, we're going to kick things off this morning in our new series, At the Movies. As you heard in the intro clip there, there's a lot that we can learn from movies. Have you ever watched a really good movie and kind of gleaned some life principles? Or I don't know how many movies I've watched, and at the end, I'm like, got little tears in my eyes, and my wife kind of puts her hand on me and says, "Are you okay?" Because she knows how emotionally involved I get in my movies. Now, emotionally involved, I'm not out there watching like, Shaun of the Dead or all these other zombie movies or horror movies. Again, mostly emotionally involved. My flavor of movies, usually any kind of movie based on a real story, right? So that's what allows me to kind of invest my emotions, because I feel like I'm learning about a real life person and the great feats that they did and the way that they lived their life. I'm like, man, I wish I could be like them, and I start to cry like a little boy. So there is a lot that we can learn from movies. So this month we're going to be taking a different movie each week to kind of, again, see what kind of principles from God that he can teach us through these stories that we see. And we're going to try to pick movies that have been kind of big box office hits over the past year. So hopefully movies that you've seen. We're going to be looking at The Greatest Showman later on this month. We're going to be looking at Despicable Me 3. So a lot of just fun movies we're going to be doing over the course of this month. So I encourage you to come back and join us for a lot of fun times, and invite some friends to come along with you, because we'll be showing clips and having a lot of fun with these movies. Now, when you think about that, today we're going to be kind of talking about a fun superhero movie. I want to ask you, who is your favorite superhero? Who would you say would be your favorite superhero? Who? Rogue? Rogue? I'm not sure I know who that is, but okay. Who else? What else? Any other favorites out there? Bam Bam? Bam, is that the Flintstones, Bam Bam? Oh, Batman. I heard Bam Bam. I'm like, just because he's got a club and is hitting people, I don't think that qualifies him as a superhero. Batman, Thor. I hear Thor over here from someone. Hulk? Captain America? Well done, Jackie. Way to be appropriate for the weekend. I appreciate that. We'll pay you later for that. Yes, Captain America. Any other ones? When I think about the way superheroes have kind of evolved over time, right? They've changed from what they were many years ago to kind of the superhero movies we have today. They've come quite a distance, right? They've changed. Some of the earliest superhero movies or TV shows that I remember watching was old school Batman and Robin. You guys remember this? The show is so old I couldn't even find like a high quality picture to show you. It was all pixelated because nothing back there was really good. I mean, just look at that Batman, right? Compared to the Batmans that we have today with Christian Bale or the latest one, I forget who he was because he wasn't that good. Ben Affleck, yes, thank you. They've evolved quite a bit, right? Here's a picture of all the kind of Batmans over the years. I don't know who Lewis Wilson is, but he's the first one over there. Obviously, everybody knows Adam West, hopefully. Michael Keaton, he was all right Batman. I have no idea who this Alfredo Casero was. Does anybody know who that Batman was? See him? I don't know how he made the list, but he's in there somewhere. All the different Batmans. And then probably my favorite is Christian Bale. My next memories kind of real-life superheroes are from my personal favorite. I'm surprised no one else's favorite. No Spider-Man fans out there? Cue the Cricket soundtrack there for me, Chris. Crickets. Yes, Spider-Man, right? Who was your favorite? Who was your favorite Spider-Man? Was it Tobey Maguire? Was it any of these guys? You guys seen the Spider-Man movies? Just me, because they're my favorite. Okay. Well, good. I'm here all week. Tobey Maguire. But if you haven't seen these guys, you probably have never seen this one. Take a look at this. 1978 Spider-Man. Look at those special effects. Can you turn the lights off? Whoa. This was the Amazing Spider-Man that I grew up with. Look at this guy. things have changed quite a bit since then as far as Spider-Man goes. Of course, you guys wouldn't know since nobody here watches Spider-Man, but since we're going down memory lane here, who can forget, how about 1977 Hulk? Huh? Lou Figaro, again, very pixelated. And this is the Thor character, some goofy guy with some costume from the local Halloween stores. Super, yeah, I was watching clips over the week, working on this message, of course. And it was pretty silly, the acting that went on. How about 1978 Superman, huh? Come on. Then there was probably this one, 1994 Fantastic Four. Probably never seen these guys. Anybody ever seen these guys? Huh? You saw them? Tina? See these guys? Yeah. You grew up on these? Yeah, I never saw these guys. To say that our superhero heroes have kind of come a long way is an understatement, right? And thanks to CGI and more advanced technology, our heroes are kind of more lifelike than ever. And one of the year's most anticipated and hyped up movies was that of Black Panther. Anybody here seen Black Panther yet this year? Yeah, it's a fun movie, right? Nowadays, anything coming out of Marvel Studios can kind of just take my money, right from the get-go, right? As soon as I see that Marvel animation start before the movie, I get all excited inside. It's the one time I'll treat myself to movies that aren't based on true stories. Just so you guys know, these aren't based on true stories, okay? The Marvel movies. But I'll allow myself to indulge a little bit in these stories. And Black Panther kind of arrived on the scene amidst some significantly higher, we'll say, racial tensions in America, right? Maybe you've heard or experienced, seen this going on in our culture. And the message that I heard over and over again as this movie was being promoted and was going to come out was that you need to go out and see this movie because it's predominantly, a black cast and black leads and black supporting actors, and it was all about the color of the skin for the actors and not really about the movie for its storyline or its action, and it just kind of wrapped up in this racial dialogue. And that was before the reviews came out, and I almost felt as though if I didn't go and see this movie and think that it was amazing, then I was part of this kind of racist problem going on in America. I grew up with a close friend of mine who is not the same color as me, and I won't tell you his name because he is the answer to most of my security questions on my childhood best friend, right? But he was somebody of a different color, and to me, having a different color, racism, either I was really shielded from it, or my parents just did a good job making sure I wasn't exposed to it. But I watched this movie, and I liked it, right? It was a good movie all on its own merits. Despite the color of their skin, it had a great storyline. It had great graphics, not any more or less because of kind of the racial undertones that people were trying to make it out to be. And while reflecting on it, there's no doubt that it really underscores some very meaningful issues that we're dealing with here in America today. Issues that I believe God has called us as followers of Christ to be actively involved in, not passively and just allowing whatever's happening to happen, but to really get actively involved in these conversations. You can't follow Christ and not be actively involved in the things that are going on in our culture around us, right? His heart and his agenda as followers of him demand for us to be involved with what's going on in the world around us. So first, I just want to give a little background in case you haven't got a chance to see the movie, just to what's going on. The movie is based on this character, Black Panther. His name is T'Challa, right? And we first meet T'Challa in Captain America Civil War. If you got the chance to see that movie, he played a part in it. And at the end of that movie, his father dies as a result of this terrorist explosion at the UN building. And his father is the king of Wakanda. And now that his father is dead, he must go back to Wakanda and assume the throne. Now, Wakanda is this kind of hidden city in Africa that nobody knows about. All the world sees is kind of this third world front that, they refuse to be, they refuse to be connected with anybody, and they kind of isolate themselves from the world around them. But inside this kind of hidden bubble is this technological wonder that far surpasses anything else in the world to date, right? Because of this mineral vibranium that they have access to mine there, it's allowed them to just advance technologically faster than the rest of the world. And they have all these cool gadgets and abilities to do things that just leave you like in awe and wonder. Now, no story is interesting without some tension, and so becoming king for T'Challa is going to be anything but easy. There's this ritual that they have to go through, and he has to fight off anybody who wants to challenge, the place of becoming king. And then we don't know what it's like to live kind of with those, processes and rituals. But we see it a lot, right? It must be something that people are interested in because they'll spend hours watching, right, the royal wedding on TV or getting in line for days in advance to be able to get a glimpse at the royal wedding procession, right? And at least while we've kind of fought to separate ourselves from, in our own history, from a king who gave us, no representation, the truth is even our own political system has much of the same pomp at times that we find with any kind of monarchy. And instead of a king to rule over everything, we elect different representatives into these three different branches of government. And most of the time, it leaves us, at least me personally, feeling very unrepresented. And it's supposed to be this democracy of the people, by the people, for the people. But how often have I found myself just kind of feeling like I have no voice in what's going on in the world around me, right? What's happening doesn't reflect the ideas and the things that I hold valuable. Thus, enter the protagonist, the bad guy, right? This is Killmonger, and Killmonger is this kind of long-lost relative who has claim to the throne, and nobody knows who he is because he was kind of abandoned as a kid. But as he tells his story, it's obvious that he doesn't like the status quo. He doesn't like the way that things have always been in the direction that Wakanda is going in. So he's going to do whatever it takes, kill whoever needs to be killed in order to take over the throne and assume kingship and take Wakanda in a different direction. He wants to use their technology to give it to anybody who's being oppressed so that they can just kill and obliterate all their enemies, and that's his vision, right? So he wins the challenge, and despite everyone knowing that he is bad news, he is not good for leadership because of this ritual and this process. They kind of all just give over the keys to the kingdom to him. And as the members of the old regime kind of flee and they begin to plan, right, their overthrow of this new regime, there is this scene with one of the, we'll call her kind of the head of the CIA of Wakanda, right? She's like the greatest warrior of the CIA group of, I forget what they call them. And her position as the leader of this kind of royal protection unit demands for her to serve the throne regardless of her personal feelings and regardless of whoever is filling the position, whether she agrees or doesn't, she's bound to serve the throne. And she's in this scene that we're going to watch kind of struggling with the weight of what just happened in T'Challa, who they think is dead. And now this new crazy man is taking over the throne. And she's struggling with what her heart is telling her to do. You guys just hit the lights. Things.
We should get to them immediately. Though my heart is with you. We cannot turn over our nation to a man who showed up here only hours ago. He is of royal blood. He killed T'Challa in ritual conduct. You are the greatest warrior Wakanda has. Help me overthrow him before he becomes too strong. Overthrow. I'm not a spy who can come and go as they so choose. I am loyal to the throne, no matter who sits upon it. What are you loyal to? I left
So we see her kind of torn between her responsibility and what her heart is telling her to do. And again, because I get emotionally invested in my movies, I'm sitting there watching and thinking, screaming, what are you thinking? You go with what's right. This is wrong. Have you ever met someone who kind of had this, what seemed to be kind of blind loyalty to some cause or some issue that just followed almost like a lemming, right? That just kind of goes along. And around here, we may call them Bills fans, right? Maybe Yankee fans, right? SU fans. There's a lot of times in sports we see these kind of people, right? Just kind of blindly following along. Maybe we might call them Republicans or Democrats. Right? But what happens when some people kind of just blindly, loyally, right, the opposite team comes into town, right? What happens when you meet a Patriot and you're one of these Bills fans, right? You meet a Patriots fan. And it's like this, you don't even know the person, but you just hate him inside, right? Or a Red Sox fan. Yeah, already somebody in there's daggers in their eyes, right? Red Sox fans. Right, Chazley and I were watching Law and Order like we do every night, the SVU shows, kind of our nightly ritual, and there was this episode where this politician was running for mayor of New York City, and on the surface doing great things for the city, and all of a sudden all these allegations and facts were coming out how he had been involved in some relationships with some girls that were not only some of them underage, but some of them then used his position to give them jobs in other government offices, right? And as he's being tried for his crimes, there is this priest that comes to the DA and begins to confront him at, why are you doing this to this politician? He has the potential to bring so much change and good for the citizens of New York City, right? As if to say that all the bad things that he's done, it doesn't matter compared to the good that he could do. Again, this blind loyalty that just, no matter what the facts say, no matter what as a human being we should do, we continue on as a lemming. And it's easy to see it in other people, but we should realize it's never really easy to see it when it's in ourselves. Right? Maybe it's your political party that you are just knee-deep committed to, and no matter what kind of news story comes out, there's going to always be a way you can spin it to make it fit your agenda. Maybe it's your denomination, right? The expression of faith that you've always been a part of. What kings do we have in our lives that we are kind of just blindly following, and how do we overthrow them? Because we're supposed to have a king, but that king is not of this world, right? It's not Donald Trump and whoever fills the office of the presidency. It's not Andrew Cuomo and whoever may fill the office of the mayoral or the governor office of New York State. Any king that we place in the spot that's reserved for our Creator, and our Creator alone, will always leave us distracted and fighting these meaningless battles when we were created to live for so much more. We were created to create and to change the world. We're not the first ones to get distracted by this kind of blind loyalty to a king. And the Old Testament introduces us to this man named Abram, and Abram chooses to follow God, and God chooses to make himself known to Abram. And he says, Abram, I'm going to bless you because I want to bless the world. Or I'm going to make you a great nation that's going to prosper because I want to use you to bless the world. And their greatness will not be in their superiority to everyone else around them, but God, you're just telling them your greatness is going to be in how you bring who I am to the world, how you make me known to the world. So God wants to live, he tells Abram, in this relationship with them, but they begin to have this different idea, right? As the Israelites or the Jewish people begin to grow and they go through different experiences, they start to look around and they realize they're kind of the oddballs of the world. Everyone else around them kind of has this leader that they bow down to or they worship or that makes all the decisions for them, and they want to be like everyone else. They want a king. And Samuel tells God that they want a king, and this is the conversation that begins to ensue between God and Samuel. You can follow along in your notes if you're following along with the YouVersion app, or the verses are on the screen there. In 1 Samuel, it says this, and the Lord told him, speaking to Samuel, listen to all the people are saying to you. It is not you that they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their king. As they have done from the day I brought them out of Egypt until this day, forsaking me and serving other gods, other kings. So they are doing to you. Now listen to them, but warn them solemnly and let them know that the king who will reign over them, what he'll claim as his rights. And he begins to tell Samuel, this is what it's going to be like to have a king. This is what they really want. Let them know this is what they're going to experience. He said this is what the king who will reign over you will claim as his rights. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses. And then will run in front of his chariots. Some he will assign to be commanders of thousands and commanders of fifties, and others to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and still others to make weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his attendants. He will take 1/10 of your grain and of your vintage and give to his officials and attendants. Your male and female servants and the best of your cattle and donkeys he will take for his own use. He will take 1/10 of your flocks, and yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out for relief from the king that you have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you in that day. I read that description, and all I see is taxes, 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 right? Everything we experience today, taxes, everything. And it's one thing to kind of be oblivious to the consequences of your actions, right? But it's a whole other thing to know exactly what they are, what's going to happen if you do this, and yet still choose to do it anyways. And that's what they do. They hear this list and like, yeah, give us a king. That's what we want. Right, Chaz and I we haven't figured out how she's getting pregnant. Right, here we are on kid number 4, and I don't understand what we need to stop doing to stop having these little girls. Now, if I knew what caused it and we could stop this predicament we keep finding ourselves in. But they knew exactly, right, what will happen. And listen to how they respond. They say this. Samuel tells God their response, but the people refused to listen to Samuel. No, they said, we want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations. Right? You ever wanted something just because someone around you had it? Much of my fashion as a kid could probably be wrapped up in that statement, right? If you remember Jenkos, the really big baggy pants, right? They had the big, everything about them were just big pockets you could fit like little submarines in, right? Jenkos. Or there was a phase where I wanted MC Hammer pants, right? When MC Hammer was cool, he had these big, they call them parachute pants, right? Do a little hammer time, right? Talking to the wrong crowd, I guess. Right, but if I had these, right, then man, maybe I'd be cool now. We can be friends because I'm like all the other nations around me. The king to lead us and to go out before us and to fight our battles. Right? And as followers of Christ, doesn't it feel like that's kind of what we've done? We cheer and we argue for certain people who we think will get the job done for us. Maybe it's the person up on stage, or it's the person that we are campaigning for. And if they do what we believe they were going to do, we see, I told you so. This was the person you should have voted for or believed in. And if they don't, then we find a way to spin it and move on to the next person. We have asked for a king to go and fight our battles for us, so we can kind of sit back and enjoy the show. And God told Abraham, I want to bless you so that you can be a blessing to the world. But then they said, you know what? This blessing business is kind of hard work. We're finding ourselves a little stressed out at the end of the day. We don't have a really good insurance. We can't pay for counseling. We want a king to do it for us. Give us a king. So they traded in their opportunity to be God's hands and feet to the world, and for being subjugated now to this king who's going to rule over them and take things without even asking, just because they want to be like everyone else around them. When I was in Florida, I had an opportunity for a year to live right on the beach. It was a place called Anna Marie Island. You had to get over a bridge to get there, and it's just kind of this vacation wonderland, right? And I could literally sleep to the sound of the waves crashing, probably just a few hundred yards from my bed. The downside is there's roaches everywhere, cockroaches everywhere, because they have something, they like the water or something, I don't know. So that's scary in the night to hear all these little, kind of things moving all around. But once you get over the fact that they're doing stuff while you're sleeping, it's pretty easy. But I had a roommate there, and he brought in this guy who needed a place to stay. And we started to talk about, the different things that we believed in and the passions. And I began to express the things that were on my heart and what I believed in, the things that I thought were true and that we should be doing as a country. And I will never forget, he kind of had this look that he stared at me and he says, oh, I see. You're a Republican, aren't you? Right? And I tell you, it's the only time in my life I ever felt kind of what it must be like to be the victim of racism. Again, I'm a pretty average-looking guy. I look probably Caucasian. The truth is I'm half Mexican, half Irish, so I'm kind of this weird, fire, spit, stone kind of guy. But he said this statement, and he just looked at me, and I began to just feel like, man, you just judged me based on nothing you know about me as a person, but just these facts. In most places in Florida, and being a pastor down there, that would probably be said as a good thing. But he said it with just this kind of hatred and this disdain and this judgment, like he couldn't believe I was even in the same room as him. And I was the victim of this prejudice. And this is our true job description of who God has called us to be. He says this in 1 Peter, says, but you are the ones chosen by God, chosen for the high calling of priestly work, chosen to be a holy people, God's instrument to do his work and speak out for him, to tell others of the night and day difference that he has made for you, from nothing into something. From rejected to accepted. How cool of a job is that, just to be able to proclaim and say, hey, you feel like nothing or you feel rejected, there is a better, a different way for you. Right? The reality is, that's not my king, being a Republican, right? You asked for a king to do it for you, and now you don't like the results. When you leave it to your king to do the fighting and the battle for you, right? Maybe it's, you need to fight for open borders, or you need to fight for, why are we separating kids from their families? But when you assume the high calling that God has given each and every one of us, then we find ourselves in the middle of these issues on our knees, asking God for discernment. What is it that you want me to do in this situation? I don't want to just be a blind lemming following what the king is telling me to do, the kings that I've set up. And maybe in those moments, God calls you to give a little bit more to the broken families and that are being separated on the border. At the same time, leading you to begin to maybe give to different funds that help support the families that are standing guard for us and protecting us at the border. right? The answer is never either or. There's a place that we got to get to in the middle where we come together and we say, what is God calling us to do as human beings here on the earth? Having a king to do it for you always is going to always lead to these polarizing situations, and we're left having to choose between following this king or that king, leaders of these movements, when God is calling us to live and be his instruments in the middle. While discovering our purpose and what God made us for, we're going to begin to find ourselves right in the middle of these situations. That's what he created us for. Right? I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm tired of identifying myself with a king or a system. But I want to be who God's called me to be. And we do this in religion too, right? So I'm Catholic. I'm Baptist. I'm, Unitarian. So much of what happens in churches every week is, simply, or every day, is simply because it's the way things have always been done before. And we're just blindly following the same person who was blindly following those who have gone before him. At different points in church history, we actually fought against and demonized people who played guitar or drums, right? There was a time where it could only be on the church organ, and any music outside of that was from the devil. And look at us now. And today we fight against people who want to do anything to reach people by calling them heretics or saying that they're compromising the gospel. It's the same place that T'Challa, the Black Panther's sister, finds herself, right? She refuses to just let the king just do things for her, to let things maintain as the status quo. In fact, she challenges him about this idea in this next clip that we'll begin to wrap up
So
with.
surprised my little sister came to see me off before our big day.
You wish. I'm here for the EMP beats. I've developed an update.
Update? No, with what, Kathy?
How many times do I have to teach you? Just because something works doesn't mean that it cannot be improved.
You are teaching me. What do you know?
More than you.
I can't wait to see what kind of update you make to your ceremonial outfit.
I don't know if you caught what was happening there, but she says she wants to make some updates to these kind of weapons that he uses, and he says, updates, I don't need updates, it worked fine. And she says, brother, how many times do I have to tell you, just because something worked good does not mean that it can't be improved. And for so long, we've just relied and gone along with, man, it's working fine for us, we're okay, so it doesn't need to be improved upon. We kind of draw this line in the sand where we felt God was calling us to, and where we'll do anything short of sin to reach people. That's what we've committed ourselves to here at Forward Point. If you've ever wondered why we do things like play the games up here at the beginning, right? It's because we're trying to break a mold. It's a mold that says, right, to be spiritual, you have to be boring and out of touch and fall asleep. It's a mold that says this is a one-way street, right, where information is just kind of always spewed from the stage to you, and you try to regurgitate and remember as much as you can, but then you leave and go about your life as if nothing ever happened. This is a place where we want people to come alive in each other's presence and to see each other do goofy things, like try to guess the Star Spangled Banner from a bunch of people doing weird motions in the audience, right? Where we become a family, a group of people who have seen us at our best and weirdest moments and then can now be there for us during our worst and hardest moments. And the reality is we've only seen the tip of the iceberg, right? We're not just kind of dabbling in these things. This is the direction we want Forward Point to go, where it begins to cause these waves of just doing things differently. Just because things are good does not mean that they can't be improved. Or we don't change the message. The message is always going to be the same. God created you on purpose, for a purpose. The only way to a relationship with God is through Jesus Christ. Sin separates us. in that relationship, and only Jesus and what he did on the cross can bring us into relationship, into the right relationship with him. That message is never going to change. But our methods, man, we want to improve and get better and do whatever methods we can that are going to reach as many people as possible. Because we want to begin, we're tired of just letting the kings do things for us. We don't need to be like everyone else around us, because everyone else around us is reaching the people that they're going to reach. We want to reach the people that no one else is reaching. So we're probably going to be doing things that no one else is doing. And that's being God's instrument, his workmanship here on the earth. Will you bow your heads with me as we wrap up this morning? God, we are sorry for the different kings that we have asked for that have taken our eyes off of you. Our allegiance to these things have caused us to give of our time and our resources to causes that are anywhere near where your heart is for humanity. And I pray that out of Forward Point, you would begin to raise up people that don't find their identity as a Democrat or a Republican, but they find their identity in being a follower of Christ. And as these followers of Christ begin to come together and begin to challenge the kings that we've placed over our lives, that we would begin to find freedom from these, where we wouldn't need to be known as the troublemakers on social media, or the people fighting for all these issues with our words and with our posts, but we would be the people who are known for being on our hands and feet and searching and seeking your heart for what you are calling us to do. And if it doesn't align with any kind of political system or party, if it doesn't align with the main line, evangelicism, or whatever, God, we want to be true to your message and follow that wherever it takes us. So God, I pray this morning that you would help free us from these kings in our lives. Maybe you're here this morning, and for you, the calling is to just put Jesus for the first time as the king of your life. Right? You didn't know that there was this broken relationship between you and God, and that Jesus lived this life where he could then die on a cross to become the bridge that can now unite you and your Creator. So this morning in your heart, the response is simply for you just to give the lordship of your life back to the one who created it. In your heart, maybe you would say just something simple like this: God, would you please come into my life? I want to give myself over to you. I receive your grace and forgiveness for all the things that I've done that have been contrary to the way that you created me. And I want to follow you with my life. And in your heart, now the first thing that comes to mind is going to be this training yourself to say, God, what is it you want me to do? Not WWALD, what would Abe Lincoln do, but what would Jesus do? I know it's a cliche bracelet, but the reality is we want to live every moment. Jesus, what is it you want us to do in this situation? For those of you who gave yourselves to this new king in your life right now, the Bible tells us that all of heaven is rejoicing and celebrating. We rejoice and celebrate. And God, we pray that as a group, as followers of Jesus, as Forward Point, you would help us to be people who are going into darkness of this world and bringing the lights. That you would be that blessing you wanted to be through the people of Israel. To bless the world, we want to be that to the city. Help us not to get distracted by what the people around us have and to desire the different kings that they have over their life, but we want you as the king of our life. So lead us, guide us, direct us. Continue to mold us as a forward point into who you want us to be. We want to be soft clay in your hands to just mold us in whatever it is, whatever way you need us to be for this community and for this city. And God, we just pray for the rest of this series that you would help us to dive into these stories, to learn truths and principles about how you created us and what you want from our lives in ways that we have never experienced before, and then can begin to share with the people around us. We love you. In your name we pray. Amen. Have a great week, guys. Stay cool today. If you need prayer for anything, we'll be up here and would love to pray for you. If there's something that you're going through, we want to stand with you and do life with you. Otherwise, make sure you hit up the cafe with all the goodies that are in there. Hug somebody, love on each other. We'll see you next week.